What up, no? It is another Tuesday. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, and it's almost fight week for the next installment from Mitten Muay Thai. And they're giving me a microphone to call all the action. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll find out. August 9th at the Masonic Temple. And before we get to you with one half of your main event, I got to tell you about our sponsors who just happen to be Mitten Muay Thai. If you can check this out, you can see a little bit of what we're going to talk about tonight with Muay Thai and all those good things. And the last fight at the Imperial House didn't disappoint, and I expect this Mitten Muay Thai show to go right along with it. So if you guys haven't done so yet, get your tickets. Make sure you're there. Masonic Temple, Detroit, Michigan. But without any further ado, we're going to tell you a little bit more about that show with one half of your main event, Bryan Glidden. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Enjoy the show.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Rock, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
What up, though? It is another Tuesday, man. This is Knockouts and Three Counts. We got a lot to talk about, specifically Mitten Muay Thai. We've got the debut of a guy who I've known for quite a long time, and Bryan Glidden. Corey, how you doing this morning, tonight, and good evening, my man? And Bryan, you got to hit the unmute button.
Oh, yeah, I'm here, man.
Doing well, man. Doing well. No real complaints other than the fact that it's been raining the last couple days. But, other than that, man, got to spend some good quality family time instead of pushing the normal two wheels around. So no real complaints, man. No real complaints. What about you guys on this Tuesday?
I can't complain. Bryan, how you doing, my man, headed into this fight?
Feeling good, man. I've dropped quite a bit of weight down. I was at like 200 back in May, and I'm down to like 165 right now. So going in at 160 for this one, so be really feeling good, feeling really light, sharp. Had to go get my eyes dilated today, so if I'm blinking a lot, it's because I'm seeing all weird.
Funny, I can relate.
Yeah, so I've never had my eyes dilated before, so like it was way different than I thought it was gonna be. I was like, oh, they're gonna put some drops and like check some things. And I was like,
I feel that as the guy that wears glasses on the show. I definitely feel that. I don't miss wearing contacts either. But with that said, this weekend was pretty wild. I now have crossed off every like check mark there really is on the fighting scale of things, outside of like making it to like the big show or anything. But fucking, I've now judged a fight. I've fought in a fight. I've commentated a fight. I've done post-fight interviews for a fight. I've done and now, like I said, I've judged fights. I judged my first set of fights at the kickboxing fights Friday. That was interesting. Shout out to Bruce Strunk on that one.
Yeah, you got to go out and you were ringside for that Clarissa Shields one too, man.
I wish I was ringside, but I was there for that joint.
Dude, I was hype about that.
Yeah, dude, it was a wild weekend. Shout out to DAZN Boxing and Salita Promotions and all the Smoke Promotions for having us. It was dope to get to go there. It was the hookup, bro. Tickets, free parking, food. It was a deal, and Clarissa definitely put on, dude. At first I was kind of wondering how the turnout was going to be, because they had the tickets were a lot cheaper than they were last time. But by the time it got time for her to fight, that place was pretty damn full. And when she came out with Dej Loaf and they did the whole entrance with that shit was nuts. And I gotta say, man, if you go back and look, if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can go back and look. But I mean, dude, I asked her before the fight how she felt that her power was going to translate at heavyweight, and she said it's going to translate a lot, because now she doesn't have to deplete herself so much. But man, damn, she went right through Joanna's, man.
Yeah, she hit hard as hell. She was, and it, like my buddy put it the good way. He's like, she looked like she was surprised. She's like, man, that's it.
Yeah, that was it was quite the experience. Getting to do the post-fight press conference was cool. And another one that really stuck out to me, a guy that I'd love to try to put a piece together with, is Julian Smith, man. He was kind of brought in as the underdog because he was fighting another one of the guys from Salida Promotions, and he ended up beating him. But what like struck me is the guy can fight this well. He's a mute. He can't talk. Like, he had to have his trainer like translate and stuff for him, and went in there and beat one of the guys from Salida Promotions, and it's definitely something I want to see with that. And I mean, then you had a kid who's another kid from here in Michigan that I'd love to get on the show. You had Cameron Pankey that was on there. He was entertaining as fuck to watch. So all in all, man, it was a good time. It was good vibes in the city. Shout out to our guy Andreas Hale for looking out, and for those of you guys who are boxing fans, you might want to stay tuned, because something tells me you may not have seen the last of us in Salida Promotions. But hey, we'll talk about that another time. With that being said, dude, like I said, we wanted to talk with you about Mitten Muay Thai and what you got going on with that. But before we get to that, man, like I was telling everybody in the start of the show, I mean, you and I have known each other for quite a long time. Talk to me a little bit about your background in the sport. I know you've had some time off since your last fight. It's been quite a while. What made now the right time to come back?
So it's been about 7 years, I think. I fought in like 2018, I believe, was like towards the end of 2017 or 18. I can't remember. Yeah, I started back in, like, I was in the Army for a long time, and I did some combatives and stuff. Like, I got certified in some BJJ and whatnot, but it was never anything like serious. And then when I came back to Michigan back in like 2011, I was living at home, trying to find a job, do whatever. And I was like, I really want to get back into training. And that's when I started going up to MASH and Warrior Way and stuff. And yeah, that's really where I started off at, was with you guys. And then, yeah, basically from there, I was just, that's all I did, man, was train and I didn't really start competing too much, but because, shows haven't been really that popular in Michigan. Like, even back when I competed, I've never really had a full rules Muay Thai. Like, it's been some version of kickboxing or whatever, and it's always been padded and all that stuff. And so it's hype as hell that we get to do this in Michigan right now.
That's go ahead, Corey.
That's what I was gonna. Basically, my biggest question was, as somebody who owns a Muay Thai gym in the area and is trying to teach this art to this many people, to see a promotion finally be able to build its roots and to be even named after the state kind of shows what their intentions are, I guess. So to see the continued potential out of Muay Thai in the state of Michigan, it's awesome to see. That's for sure.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I feel like I'm really happy with. Not only the fact that we have a promotion, but like Phil and the rest of the guys at the team that have been running it, they've been really true to Muay Thai, the fighters, and pushing the sport, not necessarily about like promoting personalities of like, assholes and whatnot. It's just, hey, we're here to put on a show, put on a fight, and do these things. So it's like, even I was telling one guy, I was like, this is like one of the first times that I'll have a fight where I get to see my opponent weigh in. Like,
that's some Wild West shit.
After 15 years, that's the case. Like, I can't. It blows my mind.
I mean, I just watched a title fight on Saturday that was for the light heavyweight and heavyweight fight title. So, I mean, I don't know how that works. Those are two different weight class. But.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's as far as the gym goes, though, it's nice because, I mean, like, even from me fighting, like, I had no real reason to fight. Go travel to fight amateur, not get paid. Like, why would I do that? And then the promotion started coming up. They put on 2 solid shows, and I was overweight, so I couldn't really get on those cards. But I was like, well, hell, this is a real thing. Like, I better get in shape if I want to get some rounds in, because I ain't got much time left. I'm 37, man. Like, I'll be 38 in January. Like, I got a few left, but I ain't got much time.
So what made now the time to do that? Like, I mean, I know we talked about you having Maverick Muay Thai, but what made now the right time to do it and to come out against a kid like who you said yourself before we hit the button? I mean, Josiah Pila being your opponent, you know, I mean, I've heard a lot of things about this kid that he's been looking good in the fights that he's had. What made now the right time, and what made you accept the fight with an opponent like Josiah?
I kind of wanted to make it worth it. And one of the biggest things as far as being a gym owner is without having people who have seen Muay Thai or seen how it goes in any way, shape, or form, everything is just kind of like theory and pretend. And, hey, you know, I heard this thing from this guy who did a thing once before. And it's cool. And people do learn a lot that way. But like having an actual show, a fight, to go watch and see people that you train with and compete with or learn from and all that stuff is such a different experience. And literally after the first show, I mean, we had people coming in, cracking pads like I've never seen before, sparring. People wanted to spar that had never thought they could spar. Like, people were really stepping their game up because they saw it at a level that they felt they could attain. And they really started getting motivated to do it more, which is amazing. And that's only my gym. Like, I can't imagine everybody else. Like, you know, it's fucking awesome.
Well, that was one thing that jumped out to me at the last Mitten Muay Thai too. Is I didn't realize how many like straight Muay Thai gyms there were here in Michigan. Not just here in Michigan, because some of them are from like I know one of them was out of Indiana.
Yeah, the ones out of the Midwest in general are getting pretty cool. But like, yeah, I'm in the same boat where hell before Mitten popped up, I was like, okay, well, if nobody's gonna do it, I guess I might have to do it. So my broke ass was looking at like venues and all the different gyms and how to like organize this shit. And like, man, this is gonna take like 30 years just to get an event going. Like, this is impossible. Like, and then they popped up, and I'm like, oh, thank God, that's so much less work for me. Like, because it's, I mean, same thing, man. Like, fuck. Like, hey, you guys want to go practice soccer but never play it? No. Yeah. Like, I don't. I'd go play a game and maybe practice to get better, but I'm not gonna not play.
Well, we're getting to see it. We're getting to see it more around the state in general because, like I said, I got to judge Friday at Motor City Casino, and those were kickboxing fights too. I know Matt Frendo with Lights Out Championship that I've worked with in the past too. I know they're adding different stuff to those shows, so I feel like, you know, as the evolution of Michigan MMA has kind of come around, you know, you're seeing more of the different facets. It's not so much just boxing or just MMA. You know, now you're getting to see gyms like yours where, you know, it's a split off, you know, of just one of the disciplines with Muay Thai. I think now there's a lot more availability for some of that to happen. And I mean, it's cool. Like I said, I had a hell of a time at the last Mitten Muay Thai. If you haven't gotten to check it out yet, highly recommend it. Get you a ticket and tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you. But you know, talk to me about this matchup, man. What do you know about your opponent, and how do you feel like this thing's going to shake out?
So I don't know too much about him. I believe I've watched like one fight on YouTube of his. I think it was for like Freedom Fighter. And he looks solid. He looks like a strong dude. He's, I think he's a little bit taller than me, so he's got a little bit of reach on me. But, you know, I don't. There's nothing that I'm necessarily worried about as far as winning or losing. I don't really have any concern with that. It's really just a matter of, for me, just getting in there and showing people what's up. Like, I want to throw kicks, I want to throw punches, and I want to put on a good show, and I think Josiah is going to help me do that. And we're going to put on a hell of a show more than anybody. Like, and not to take away from anybody else, but we're going to kick the shit out of each other.
Well, I mean, again, shout out to Bruce. Bruce kind of helping me out with some of the background, man. But I mean, you're getting a kid that's had quite a few fights for it being, like you said, Muay Thai not really being around. From what I see here in 2023, he was 9-2-1 at the Muay Thai Worlds. So, like I said, the kid's got experience. It's not like he's you know, young to the game with Muay Thai. So I feel like it's gonna be I feel like it's going to be a good matchup because, like I said, I've been training with you for a long time. I know that you train with Métis and stuff like that as well. And I mean, I know what you're bringing to the ring. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to be. But I was watching some of the promo videos in the lead up for the fight and stuff. What do you say to like the things he was saying when you said in there that you've been training for a while because you're running your own school, but he responded with just training and training for a fight are two totally different things. What about your training is going to put you over the top with a kid like that?
I have been training for a fight. So again, you're absolutely right. There is a big difference between just training, going for a run and getting a workout in and doing these things that, yeah, they're great workouts. They're great for exercise and personal training and whatnot, but they are not a fight. And at the end of the day, like most of my time when getting ready for this fight has been spent mainly sparring, not necessarily. I do pads, I do conditioning and whatnot, but it's been primarily sparring. And I've had, like, I spent a decent amount of time in here training and whatnot, but I've also spent about 6 months training in Thailand. I spent about 3 months training with Sanctinoy Gym, and they're one of the hardest camps out there, like plain and simple. Ask anybody. And they are amazing. And they're Muay Thai, very forward, very clinch, heavy knees, all that stuff. So it's a very different style than what I was working with before, where it's very much light footwork, evasive, etc. Which I still like to play around with that round, but I do definitely gravitate towards the Muay Thai area a lot when I spar. And honestly, I love the fact that we get to do it with no elbow pads, no shin guards, no knee pads, no headgear. Like, I've always found those things extra cumbersome and awkward, and I've hated wearing them. So just having that opportunity to really just get in there and fight with somebody that, yeah, he's had a lot of competition recently, but I mean, so I've had a lot of the competition too, and I'm not really worried about the competition aspect experience. It's more about the fact that I feel more confident than I've ever felt for any fight before in my life. So I'm feeling that's pretty solid right now.
I like it. Like I said, man, I know the feeling with a lot of that stuff. It's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. I mean, like I said, to your point, I had done a little bit of digging to see about this kid. And I mean, like you said, if you're going to go and take your time to get back in the ring, have another fight, I mean, you might as well do it against a kid who's on his way up in a tough fight, man.
Yeah,
with that, I mean,
left. So I mean, why not go out? If this is my last fight, like this is definitely my last amateur fight. Like I don't have any reason to really do it for no money ever again. Like there's no reason to. So assuming things go well, I'll maybe do another one pro, whatever. But like I said, I want to put on a show, and Josiah is probably the best guy to do that with. So we're gonna go out there and put on a war, man.
Hell yeah. We got to have Phil from Mitten Muay Thai on. Shout out to them again, one of our sponsors. With that being said, he's talked about Muay Thai and small gloves. What do you think about Muay Thai and small gloves?
I fucking love it. So I bought some like the Fairtex MMA sparring gloves like a couple months ago just to try them out because they were talking about it, and I was like, if they're gonna do it, and this is my last AMI fight, like I might as well get a set just to train in. I love it. I felt so like free, open, like my hands could just flow. My defense felt better somehow. Like I didn't feel like I had these big bulky clubs on my hand, and like especially if you're like Muay Thai has boxing, but there's a lot of things you can do with your hands that is not boxing. So it's nice to have that option.
I like it. Go ahead.
When we had him on the show, we were talking to him about the implementation of the Muay Thai rules with one championship and what they've kind of done to be able to grow the sport and stuff like that. Like Kyle was just mentioning with the small gloves and just the fact of bringing it to a broader scale. I mean, like I had mentioned earlier, I love the sport as well. I may not be competing or nothing, but it's just such an entertaining thing to watch. That's for sure. And to see like what they're able to do. And I wish it would transition to the smaller gloves, because it does just lend itself to such a different environment in the fight.
It's like, you know, I'm a little biased right now, but Joe Nottawa and Luke Leslie were just here, so like you watched their last fight, like it was a war. Their hands were flying, they were swinging back and forth, and like one of the biggest things about it was, like Luke was saying, having no experience with those small gloves, and Joe having that experience with the small gloves, and knowing how much of a difference that, because in Muay Thai, boxing isn't scored that high unless you hit them real hard, like because you have gloves on. So if you have smaller gloves and you hit somebody, and it's going to affect them a lot more with a lot less power, and so the game just changes that much more with that little shift.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not to mention the clinch game. Like if you have those big gloves, the clinch game is more active. You're slipping around more. You're not able to hold on as much. Like, yeah, I love it.
Shout out to Greg Sizemore chiming in. He said they were going to do 8-ounce sparring gloves, but they come in at 7.3 ounces and the state won't allow it. So the pros are doing 8-ounce boxing gloves.
Yeah. So that's the other thing we got to deal with is the state. Like that, as much as it is a good thing that the Unarmed Combat Commission came into existence, so you don't have all the backyard brawls happening everywhere. But because of that, like that's why we're having the first Muay Thai fights here. So is nobody's been able to compete.
I think it's only a matter of time for that to end up getting for that to get sanctioned, just because like you're already seeing it with one championship over there on Amazon Prime and all that stuff. And I feel like you're going to see a lot. I feel like you could see a lot more of that in a lot of the combat sports coming up, whether it be like in this case, 4-ounce gloves for Muay Thai, or I feel like you're going to see a lot more states sanctioning things like bare knuckle and stuff like that as well, because
I hope so, man. I've always said bare knuckle would be really cool to do. Like, especially like if you could do bare knuckle Muay Thai, I'd be all about it.
Did you watch any of the ones BKFC did?
I did. I saw like the Bokal or Sanchai and like some of those ones, and they're fun, but it's hard to watch.
Man, I get down with bare knuckle. We've had Britton Hart, who's getting ready to make her return against Taylor Starling on here. The other champ, Christine Faria, come through. Jake Lindsay, a bunch of them as far as bare knuckle goes. I don't know, man. There's something about bare knuckle for me though, dude. It's bro, it just gets gnarly. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's
what are the
gnarly
rule sets and
and that
I've seen
just
a couple of the brawls, but I haven't really like looked into like what's going on with it as far as the organization of it.
As somebody myself who's been a paid subscriber since the beginning, basically, of bare knuckle, I'm at the point now where I think their subscription's like $8.99 a month. I'm still on the $3.99 tier because I've been on this shit for so long. So putting it that way, I like what they've been doing. I mean, yeah, like in the beginning, I feel like they were really struggling to find actual talent, and they were just putting on fights with, people, and then they were, towards the upper end of the card, maybe you'd know one or two of the guys. I feel like that is still part of their struggle now, is that the general fans, even people that may tune into bare knuckle, don't necessarily know all the guys throughout the card.
No.
That being said, they're doing a really good job of starting to build up a lot of homegrown talent. A lot of people that have kind of worked their way through the promotion now have 4 or 5 fights, people that can be recognizable, people that, people can get behind and stuff like that. And I feel like that's where they're starting to get that real next level growth. But my only issue is the only time they get the actual casual fan attention is when they can bring in some
big name guy.
X guy that's fresh off a contract, or a Mike Perry fight or something like that. That's the only time they can really get the views like that. That being said, they're super entertaining. It is just as violent as Kyle was just saying. I like to see the advancement of the game, though. It's not quite as just violent and just fists in face like it was in the beginning. Now it's a lot more technique. It's people actually are figuring out how to bare knuckle box instead of just fight. Yeah.
No, that's the thing is it's weird because you're gonna see that like almost a backtracking of boxing because people are gonna start shifting back to that like old timey, like keeping their head back, like.
Yeah,
What's crazy about it though is that just straight boxers just still killing that shit. Like that's why Austin Trout going over there, dude. I remember telling Corey as soon as he signed, I said, "Mark my words, he's gonna go in there and fuck everybody up."
So is it boxing rules? Just no
so
gloves?
So basically boxing, except when you're in the clinch, you could have one Tai Kwang and then hit him, but you have to be hitting him in the clinch. So as long as you're active, like you can hold his head and uppercut him or throw hooks or shots to the body and all that shit, but you got to be holding on to you got to be on the way to you got to have them you got to be punching the whole time. Okay. Like as soon as you if you clasp your hands together or you stop punching, they'll break it up.
Okay, no, and it's no kicks, no knees or anything. See, that's where I fall off, man. I want to kick a knee.
See, but they, like I said, they just started doing the Muay Thai ones too, man.
Yeah, that's that. See that, because then it becomes a lot of the boxing will be okay, but it'll be a lot more clinch game, man. Because if you're striking in the clinch, like I don't know, it'd be interesting to see how they incorporate the rules of like.
It would be interesting to see how a boxer would deal with somebody who's like more straight up Muay Thai. But I mean, like I said, like it seems like the ones that do really well are either like the straight boxers or the MMA guys that know how to use the clinch. Because, like I said, when you get a guy in there like Austin Trout, who just is making people miss and then not even throwing a lot of punches, but because he's making them miss so bad when he does throw, he's just hitting such clean shots that it's just cracking people.
Yeah, they're taking their own asses on them.
Well, right. And I mean, or then you got a guy like John Dotson, who's always been known as like the speed freak of MMA pretty much. And, you know, he just won last week. They did it last weekend. They did the Risen fight over there. He's already the BKFC champ, you know, and then they had you know, now he's fighting he just fought on the Risen card and won there too. So
nice. It's
gonna be interesting. But speaking of fights that just happened, what are the thoughts on UFC 304, man? You know, I mean, we've all on this show been saying that Bilal has deserved to get a title shot for a while, and even though it may not have been like the most entertaining of performances, man, like he fucking spiked Leon on his head about 3-4 times and won. Andy outstruck him and all that too. So like, I mean, he fought a Bilal Muhammad fight, but I mean, haters can hate all they want, but dog, that's what, 8, how many wins in a row is that? That's like 12 10. Or 13.
That's
okay,
10.
It's 10. 10, he has 10 fight win streak, you know, and I mean, Leon can say what he wants. What was crazy to me is to hear Leon say that the time that they fought was so affecting him. I'm like, dog, like you're the one that's getting to stay in your home country and everything. Like,
yeah, I mean, to his point, fighting. I mean, imagine, you know, trying to stay up all night and essentially fight at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, that doesn't sound like a great combination for success.
Yeah, but then imagine if you're the American guy, though, because then you got to go over there. They already got the way different timing. So, you know, he went over there for weeks ahead of time. And then on top of that, then you're going to fight at your normal time. But the entire rest of the time that you're there in England, you got to adapt to like UK time. I feel like that would be almost as fucked as having to deal with that, because you got to get used to the UK time and then switch back to normal time on fight night.
Well, what Bilal was saying, because he was aware of the whole time thing, is that he did basically stay on American time, or as close to it as he could, while being, you know, he only traveled like a week out, so he did not have some extended stay or anything like that over in the UK. Yeah. And that being said, I don't mean to give Leon excuses here, because I'm a Bilal fan, and Kyle, what you said, and I've been hearing it thrown around a lot of, it wasn't that entertaining. Wasn't. I know he's comparing himself to GSP, and people are going to shit on me even maybe for it, but he did everything in such a complete package. And I feel like if you go back and look at some of them GSP fights, he wasn't always able to get a finish on guys.
He didn't
But
get a lot of finishes, period.
He was able to dominate almost every one of those fights, and that's what I feel like we seen Saturday night, man. I feel like Bilal just went in there. There was a couple moments where, you know, the end of round 5 and basically the last 3 minutes of round 3 of round 3. Other than that, though, man, it was a complete shutout. I mean, he really did such an amazing fight, both in the stand-up realm, the wrestling, the control in the ground. He was able to throw up some submission attempts, not necessarily super successfully. I feel like that's maybe the one aspect he could continue to round out the most. But other than that, man, I feel like that was such a thorough performance. And like to your point, Kyle, I guess I can see, like, if you're hoping everybody fights like freaking Tom Aspinall and just goes in there and headhunts, then yeah, it wasn't a great performance in that regard. In my book, it was a killer shutout against a very tough opponent, somebody that he had already fought and had struggles with, and essentially he had shown that he's the one, at least on the given night, that had leveled up substantially more out of the two of them. So nothing but shout outs for Bilal. That was an incredible performance in my book.
Can't argue with that, dude. I think he deserved it. I think he had deserved it for a long time ahead of time. And I mean, at this point, is what it is. But the crazy thing about that, and we'll talk about this in a minute, being that Tom Aspinall won and retained his title. But what did you guys think about Dana coming out and being like, yo, nobody's getting 100K bonuses or none of that shit anymore? Like, I mean, I understand you want to make people want to go for the finish. I understand that you want people to like make exciting fights, but that's fucking kind of cold blooded. Yeah, fuck you. You don't get 100. You don't get 100K bonuses no more.
So I heard, I don't know if it was one or a different promotion was taught that they were talking about doing a first round and a last round bonus, like a knockout bonus. If you knock them out in the first round, it's a certain bonus, and if you knock them out in the last round, it's like a certain bonus. So that way they have incentive to do it early or late.
I mean, that way, you know, at that last, 48 seconds of the fight, when you're like, I could just ride out
broke,
these last,
man.
Yeah, I gotta get that 100. Yeah.
100K.
Well, speaking of that, that's something that's going to be cool about Mitten Muay Thai too. Is to my knowledge, they got like different like bonuses for certain kinds of like knockouts and shit.
I'm pretty hype about that. That's I heard the Eric Bird and I forget who he fought, but Eric Bird went. They were like, "Oh man, he just went for broke." They all wanted that bonus, just jumping around trying to get it. Like,
I mean, I can't blame you, bro. I'm always cool with some extra money.
I'm gonna try some tornado jumping backflips.
Since we're back on the topic of Mitten Muay Thai, though, one question I didn't get to ask earlier that I at least feel like it would be a big deal for somebody like myself that's grown up in the area, and somebody that's laid roots in the area and opened a business and such. What's it feel like to not only be on a card but headline a card at the Masonic Temple, one of the like biggest? Before you hopped in live earlier, we were talking about potentially going to see Sum 41 there here in like 2 months. They've just a notorious concert venue and just a place that people are well known of.
Blows my mind, dude. Like I think I know it's not a big deal to a lot of dudes that fight or do whatever when they're in that higher level and whatnot, but like, man, like I grew up with nothing, so like. Just to even step in there and be like, hey, I'm going in the back because I got to put on a show for everybody. Like, it just blows my mind. Like, yeah. I can't believe it. Plus, like, Phil and I were talking a little bit. I think it was back in like May when we were still kind of considering setting me up with a fight, and we were still looking for an opponent and all that stuff. And he announced the fight like literally the day after my mom's birthday, and like my mom had passed. Like we talked about that a little bit on the interview and stuff, and like I get like he's texting me and he's like, hey, for sure. And my buddy just called me and he's like, hey, how you feeling about this fight? Like, did they have a fight for you yet? And I literally just told him, and I was like, bro, like, yesterday was my mom's birthday. It was so cool. Like, she would be so hyped to be able to just be able to go there and watch. Like, it'd be so cool, man. So, and then on top of that, like, I've got a lot of buddies that I was in the Army with that we're getting together, and they're all coming out. And I told Phil, I was like, it'd be really cool if they can walk out with me and stuff. So, I'll have them with me to like walk back to back with. So I'm pretty fucking hyped about that.
That's badass. A special entrance on that one. I like it. I like it.
Like, my buddy texted me the other day. He's like, hey, when you walk out, can I walk behind you carrying an American flag? And I was like, I mean, I want to say yes. I texted Phil. I was like, hey, would you mind? And he's like, fuck yeah, that'd be badass. I was like, sweet.
They had quite the cool like entrance setup. Like, it had like a cool vibe to it at the last show. Like, it really looked like kind of like a Fight Club type vibe thing. It was
they bring out that ambiance, man, where it's like you're starting to feel like you're like watching MMA fights, boxing matches and stuff in America is always fun. Like, I love it, but like the best fights I've ever been to are in Thailand, and not even just because of the fighters putting on the show, but because of the crowds. Like, the crowds in Thailand are fucking insane, and the shows here are starting to get like that. People are starting to get really hype when fighters are doing well, whether they're their fighters or the person that they know, or just somebody that they're just watching and they're just amazed at how awesome they are. And it's still in that like baby phase of people getting to learn it, but once it gets full steam, man, it's gonna be insane. Like, so
yeah, dude. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be cool for me to do commentary in the Masonic Temple too. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. Maybe we can drag Corey's ass out the house for a fight for a change.
More than likely on this one, I can tell you that.
Yeah, this one's going to be a good one, man. And then we got one other guy in my gym that's fighting. He'll be having his first fight. His name's Dier Johnson, and he's going to be. He's really new to Muay Thai and boxing, but he has put in. He's been athletic. He's like a track and swimming athlete and stuff, and he has put in so much work over this camp that I'm like, dude, you train like a professional for somebody for your first fight. So like, I gotta give him props, and like, it just makes me feel good to know that he's going to be out there representing us. So I'm, again, really hyped to have a team going out there. We had one other guy that was supposed to fight, but he got a little injury, so he's going to be cornered and whatnot. But he fought on the last two cards, so we'll give him a break.
Hell yeah. Well, with that said, I mean, how does this fight with you and Josiah Pila end?
Ideally, both of us on the ground trying to stand the fuck back up. But no, I think it's going to be a tough one. I think he's going to try and get in on the clinch. And I'm not worried about the clinch necessarily. He does have the height, and he does have some sharp elbows and knees. So I'm going to have to be really careful on that. But he's not going to throw anything at me that I haven't seen before in that sense. And again, no knocking to him, but it is I've played this game for a long time, man.
I like it, dude. I'm looking forward to August 9th. Shout out to Millions, where you can also be watching this. It'll be streaming on Millions, I think. I know the last fight was streaming on Millions as well. Before we get out of it, go ahead.
What's that? Is that Millions?
Yeah.
Is that a website? I have no idea.
So that's Bruce Buffer's platform. It's they got all kinds of different athletes on there, from like UFC to Bellator, TNA, bare knuckle. They also like stream pay-per-views and shit like that too.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up because a lot of people have been asking me, and I'm like, honestly, I don't know.
I mean, I know at least they did the last fight there, but I'm pretty certain this one's gonna be on Millions. I'll definitely confirm that with Phil.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Phil too, because if I don't know, I'm sure there's plenty of other people that don't know.
Right. I mean, I know the last one was on Millions. Like I said, it's gonna be interesting, dude. But with that said, Bobby Green fucked up my parlay, dude. I mean, I bet on Bilal Muhammad to win, and I thought Bobby Green was going to stop the Paddy Pimblett train, and motherfucker even got caught in my move. So that was even worse.
See, the UFC needs to sign my boy Sam. My boy Sam, Simone Deckers. Have you guys heard of him yet?
No.
No.
Do a quick Google search for Samon Deckers, like Ramon Deckers. He's a Swedish dude that I trained with in Thailand, and him and Patty Pembridge had like a little beef for a little while. And I was so hyped. I was like, oh, if my boy goes in there, he's gonna knock him the fuck out.
I mean, look, bro, I got to give Patty credit where it was, dude. I mean, he choked
good.
Bobby
I like
Green
Patty,
out
but-
quick with a hurry because, like, I mean, I'm not going to hold you up. For his last few fights, I kind of was like, man, I don't really know what to think about this guy because, I mean, he just hasn't shown up the way a guy that's getting all the hype he's doing should. And, I mean, for him to get a win over a guy like Bobby Green like that, I think it does a lot for putting him back, you know, back in that star range after the fight with Jared Warren. Yeah, I almost said Jared
Gordon.
Warren. That's what I was trying to say, but I was going to say Jared Warren, the BKFC champ. But dude.
I was very surprised. It kind of lends to what I was saying back on our breakdown on Thursday about or Monday when we were talking about it with James Lynch. Is what version of Patty are we going to see? Did he actually take this massive time off to actually improve on any of his skills and train and get better? And is he going to come in good shape, or is he going to come in slightly fat? Is he going to get fat after the fight? Like the whole things that have been following him for years, basically now throughout his.
He literally said in one of the interviews, "I didn't go to America and get fat."
Yeah. Like he did absolutely everything I was saying I hope he did if he wanted to improve on his career. He really looked like he was a next level version of himself. He went in there, he had good striking, he landed good shots. Once Bobby Green made a huge mistake by shooting for that takedown. I don't know what he was thinking that early in the fight to try to take down.
My thing was that he didn't put anything in front of it at all. He kind of just like dove at him.
Yeah, that was a mistake for sure. But I mean, for Patty, because I feel like that's the main story in this one. I mean, for Bobby Green, it sucks, right? I'm a fan of his as well, and I'm sure he's not going to be happy with this loss. But for Patty, man, I'm very surprised that the fight went the way that it did, and for him to, like I was saying before, essentially looked like he would leveled up in between these last fights. It looked like he looked like he took this time to improve himself. And if we can continue to see that version of him, man, who knows where he ends up, in the next couple of years.
It'll be interesting, dude. We'll have to see what happens as far as UFC. We're still kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with Connor, and then you've got shout out to last week's guest, Smiling Sam Alvey, keeping the dub and getting that fucking Karate Combat belt back. And I just thought it was really poetic that he was able to TKO Arroyo after all that shit talking too.
It was so funny watching the fights and the lead up to it, and they're doing the sit down at the desk and stuff, and they're just going back and forth, and for Smiling Sam to not really talk too much shit like he never really does, just kind of defending his case of you were backing up and then you headbutted me, and then to essentially see the fight play out the way that he broke it down here on the show of him landing damage, being able to chase him down this time because he wasn't dealing with the broken foot, land some good shots, and then get him out of there. If I'm not mistaken, that was the third round. Mm-hmm. And man, good fight for our boy Smiling Sam Alvey.
I mean, bro, that's got to be vindicating for that guy. Coming back and winning the Karate Combat Championship after, all the shit people were talking about him fighting in MMA still, and that he needed to retire and all this stuff, to then go over there and then win the title, have the big controversy fight, and then go back and be able to finish the guy after all that and make him ask the referee to stop the fight. That's got to be quite the feather in your cap on that one, bro. I mean,
Any interest in Karate Combat on your end?
For me, I wouldn't mind trying it out. It's interesting. I like that pit idea. That's some like old blood sport stuff. Like I've always loved that idea of just having.
And they always do it in such cool ass venues. It looks like they're fighting in Area 51.
The one thing I will say is they always have the like theme where it's you pull up a YouTube video and it's what the fuck are they in space?
Coming at you from the
Area
Aztec
51.
jungles, or
Yeah,
it's
I think they were
wait,
doing that for a little while. I was like, what the hell? But I love watching it, man. It's all action packed.
And nobody ran in the pit this time, so there's always that too. Go back and check out what Sam had to say about that guy that was that guy that ran in the pit and got choked out by the promoter.
I was gonna say, yeah, I saw you did the interview with that guy where they were talking about the guy that just came in, just choking people out. Like, what the fuck?
What's funny is that Sam's arm was like trapped in the choke, so he's just sitting there like this while fucking my man's getting choked out. That was something else, man. I hate when shit like that happens in fighting, but it was quite the scene for sure. With that being said, I can't let you get out of here without knowing. I mean, anybody that knows our show knows that we cover the pro wrestling side of things as well. We're also going to be headed down to Cleveland this Friday. Myself and J-Bone will be in Cleveland for SummerSlam. So if you guys are out there, hit us up, let us know. Make sure you wear some of them knockouts and 3-count shirts. I always fucking love seeing when people wear them everywhere else. Shout out to Dan rocking it at the Clarissa Shields fight. I appreciate that. So you got to tell me, dude, did you ever get down with the pro wrestling side of things?
Bro, I grew up with pro wrestling. Like,
let's go.
Warrior, like all that stuff. Back in the day, the old like WWF was. When it turned into WWE, I kind of lost interest. Like, there was that weird like phase where everything was just kind of Plus, I was in the army, so I didn't watch TV much.
It's hot again now,
like,
bro.
This is just weird now. But no, I got into it for a long time, man. That was my training for the first like 10 years of my life, was get in the backyard. All right, hey, we're gonna put this trash over here so that way we don't get hurt, and then we're gonna throw each other into it.
I can't say that I haven't gotten suplexed on a couple beds of wood chips and shit on the playground.
Straight up, but yeah, I actually have a buddy that I was in the army with that I don't know how it works with the pro versus amateur versus all that stuff and the political side of things, but he does AEW, I believe.
What's his name?
Garrison Creed.
No shit.
Yeah.
I know we've had Garrison Creed's a past guest of this show.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Dude, I served in the army. I was in Iraq.
I was with that guy. I was with him in Texas. We went to Texas a bunch during when pandemic was going on and stuff like that. So I went to Texas while Devin was still living there, and we went to Indie Wrestling Expo. That's where I met Miranda Gordy. Her dad's Terry Gordy from the Fabulous Freebirds and all that. So yeah, I know Garrison Creed. I remember seeing him down there at the Indie Expo. Good dude.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, he's a really good dude. He's honestly, when I got into the army, he was when I got to my unit, he was an NCO already, and then we went to Iraq. We ended up in Ramadi where he had already been at, so he was a pretty solid dude to have around, man. He already knew the sector and all that stuff, and he wasn't a dick either.
Yeah. He's doing good, man. He's been doing his thing with NWA here and there. I've seen him in and out of there. But yeah, definitely good people. One of the homies that we met along the way.
That's awesome. I didn't know he was on the show. I actually thought I was like looking at some of the shows you guys had before, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if you guys had him on there.
Yep, he has been on there. He was like I said, he was on during the pandemic.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I'll have to check that episode out, man. I'll have to go back and watch.
See, we always bring you the good content,
That's
man.
awesome.
You got everything from Chris Cale from Five Finger Death Punch to the homie Darren McCarty to who the fuck else knows.
I saw the
Darren
McCarty one a little bit. That was good.
Yeah, that's the
Darren,
homie, man.
Yeah, he's gone above and beyond to help the boys out here on the show. That's for sure. He's got us in some cool spots. That's for sure.
I mean, bro, we were sitting in the front row next to him for the last Clarissa Shields fight that was here, so that was quite the experience in and of itself.
Yeah,
I always had a McCarty jersey growing up, man. He was always like Darren McCarty.
You just liked him because he fought on skates.
That's literally the only reason. That's the only reason I liked hockey, man. That's what I found out as I grew up. I was like, I just love people kicking each other's ass.
The fact that they've got leagues now just for people to like fight on skates and shit, like the same way they do slap fighting and everything, is just mind blowing to me.
Can we do it like Happy Gilmore style? Take the skate off and
shit. If you're going with Happy Gilmore, you better watch out for that uppercut swing, homie. Watch out. But Fucking A, man. We've chatted for quite a while. If you've got any last words either about your opponent or let everybody know where they can find you and check out the fight.
Hey, Josiah Pila, good luck, bro. Come for a war. Be ready. I know I am. If you guys haven't heard already, August 9th, Masonic Temple, Mitten Muay Thai. Come check us out. Get your tickets. And check us out if you're ever in Ann Arbor at Maverick Muay Thai. Follow us on Instagram. And I love you.
I'll have to come in there at some point and throw some legs and shit. Corey, we got one more show this week. Hopefully we'll have J-Bone back in action. We're going to get you ready for SummerSlam coming down this Saturday. We're going to be out there in Cleveland. The homie Mega Ran is coming through. I think we're hitting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame while we're out there. There's supposed to be some kind of haunted restaurant that's in this motherfucker, so I need to see what's up with that. So make sure you're following us on all the socials and all that good stuff so that you can see the escapades and see if I make it home from Cleveland. But with that said, also shout out to our other sponsors. I can't get the video to play today, but you already know the deal. Check out Potter's Tree Service if you're in the need for tree trimming, storage damage cleanup, lot clearing, anything of the sort. And now they even will cut your grass for you. You got to check out the homie Asa Potter. Tell him Knockouts and 3 Count sent you. You don't need Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Asa and the boys will get you together. Until next time, and in the in-between time, hit that fucking button. Peace.